Our next work of art is architecture. Ooh. Now, the architects for this piece are Richard Boyle and William Kent. And the title of this, The Chiswick House. It's located in England, just outside of London. Now, what we're looking at here is a move away from the theatrical ostentation of the Baroque and the Rococo. It's still going to be expensive. It's just going to be more streamlined, more geometric, more classical. The appeal here being an expression of the greatness of the ancient Greek and Roman architecture, and therefore ennobling the people who live inside as those to be just like the Greeks and the Romans, who were rational, had integrity and morality. Now, you might be like, Ms. Cortez, I've read stories about the Greeks and the Romans, and they were not about ration or integrity or morality. They were crazy. True, valid. But what we're seeing here is a more idealized idea of the Greeks and the Romans, and that the greatness of the Greeks and the greatness of the Romans can be then embodied by you and your buildings, and living inside of these buildings are going to make you just as awesome as the ancient Greeks and Romans. Okay. So, Chiswick House. Chiswick House is the house for the Earl of Burlington, who just so happens to be Richard Boyle. So Richard Boyle is the Earl of Burlington, but he also is an architect for his manor because, well, he's been trained in the classical world. So he's familiar with the Greeks and the Romans, and he has the money to redo his house. We're only going to go on the outside. We're only going to stay on the outside because the inside is really Rococo. I know, it's crazy. So, we see here a temple front, columns. We see two switchback staircases that lead up to this columned temple front entrance, and a dome behind that temple front. These things here are chimneys. It seems very symmetrical, very balanced. We have an opposite, or an equal and opposite, equal architecture on opposite sides. So we have our two windows, our two switchback staircases. In fact, we can divide this right down the middle and have 3 and 3. Oh my goodness. If you were thinking, this reminds me of this, you're right. The neoclassical and the Renaissance should have similarities because they're both calling back to the ancient Greek world. Palladio and how he was putting a temple front in front of a dome, temple front in front of a dome. So what we need to see is that just like Palladio, Richard Boyle and William Kent are designing Chiswick House directly inspired by the ancient Romans, specifically the Pantheon, which is in Rome. And if you remember, it's one of the best preserved Roman temples, and it has this unique feature of a circular space covered by a dome, and the entrance is marked by a temple front. Ta-da! Now, what we saw between the neoclassic to Palladio gives us this term here. Now, I don't mean to confuse you because, yes, both Palladio and the neoclassical, they're both totally calling back to the Greek and Roman world. But because Palladio is so awesome and he made so many of those extremely influential villas during the Renaissance, people in the neoclassical world, they start to build their villas or their mansions, and they're calling them Palladian. So that's your vocab word. Palladian. Simple architectural style popular in 18th century England and America, based on the classical inspired designs of Palladio. Okay, I know I just tried to lay it out, but let's think of it again. The people of the neoclassical are building their houses in reference to Palladio. Palladio was building his houses in reference to the ancient Greeks. The people of the 1700s are interested in the ancient Greek world just like Palladio. I introduce this term to you not to make you confused, but to make you understand why you will hear artworks, buildings, described as Palladian or palatial. You've heard that? This palatial estate, this Palladian structure. What's Palladian? Palladio. And it's a remark on Palladio and Palladio's callback to the ancient Greeks and Romans. Is that helpful or confusing? Let me know. Back here. When we look at Chiswick House, we, as I said, are supposed to understand the simple and symmetrical and precise proportions of the building as a reference to the rationale of the person who lives inside and also their embodiment of the rationale and the severity of the classical Greek and Roman world. Okay. Now, as I said, we're not going to go inside because the inside is totally rococo. With that, I want to jump over the Atlantic, and we were in England. Let's go jump over here, and we're going to go look at this. What? Wait, huh? Something going on here. It's an American Revolution. It's the start of some, what, new country called the United States of America? Yeah, let's go check it out.